Westerns, which you may not, you should come see it. That movie is incredible. Five Fingers for Marseille. Today we are reaching the grand finale of our spaghetti western series, and it's a great ending today. It's going to be an amazing film. This series has just been incredible. We get to see lots of just masterful Italian westerns on the big screen, thanks to our esteemed curator for this series, filmmaker Alex Cox, who graciously agreed to pick the films and then to come introduce them. In addition to being an amazing filmmaker, a lot of my favorite movies, Sid Nancy, Walker, Repo Man, Straight to Hell, Highway Patrolman, Tombstone Rashomon, Shot Turtle, Tucson, the list goes on. Alex is also kind of a spaghetti western expert. If you look at our poster out in the lobby for today's film, Alex has a quote on the poster calling it one of the finest westerns ever. And he's the author of this book, 10,000 Ways to Die, a director's take on the spaghetti western, which he'll be signing copies of after the movie. We have a few copies left, and it's our goal to sell all the copies, right, Alex? We're going to do it. There's just a few left. You should buy one. It's an amazing book. I just wanted to point out this series is so cool because I'm not sure if you're familiar with a series that Alex was involved with in the 90s called Moviedrome, which was like Videodrome. But it was a series of cult movies that Alex introduced on the BBC, and you can see a lot of those intros that he does on YouTube. And he introduced cult movies like Barbarella and Point Blank and Bring Me the Head of Alfredo Garcia, one of my favorites, and Wicker Man. So I would definitely check those out. So this is like a live movie drone. So it's awesome. So please welcome Alex Cox. He's going to come up here and introduce today's amazing Sergio Corbucci film. And after the screening, he's hitting the highway and leaving Tucson, but he'll be back, I hope. Okay, good. Hey, Alex.
Thank you. Wow, what a nice turnout. This is nearly as many people as came for a few dollars more. So that's really great. So thank you for coming on Sunday, early Sunday afternoon. And thank you, Jeff, and thanks to Peggy and the Loft for making this series possible. It's really been enjoyable and a great excuse for me to spend 4 weeks here in Tucson, which has been fantastic. So I have to head back after this. The dog is waiting. But it has been a wonderful experience, and I'm very, very happy that the last film that we're showing is The Big Silence, or The Great Silence, as it's more commonly known. The film is directed by Sergio Corbucci. You probably know, if you're interested in Italian westerns, that there were the three Sergios. There was, of course, Sergio Leone, the one who was like super successful in the international distribution arena. There was another Sergio called Sergio Solima, who made 3 westerns, I think, at least one of which, The Big Gun Down, is excellent and really worth seeing. So if you haven't seen The Big Gun Down, you might want to check that out. It's available on DVD, Blu-ray, probably as a stream. The third Sergio Corbucci, is the director of the film we're going to see today. And Sergio Corbucci and Sergio Leone both got their start as assistant directors on American films shot in Rome and on gladiator movies. As assistant directors. They were both wanted to make westerns, though. They were both western aficionados. And after they saw Yojimbo at the cinema in, I think around Christmas of 1962, they were in a race to see who could make an imitation of Yojimbo first. And the winner was Sergio Leone, who made A Fistful of Dollars. But Sergio Corbucci followed him with like several quasi-remakes of Yojimbo, including a film called Django. Has anybody seen Django? Yeah, Django is a very, very good film. Made in 65 or 66. It was the first film to star Franco Nero, whom Corbucci had apparently met pumping gas in a gas station, and said, "You've got really beautiful blue eyes. Do you want to be an actor?" And of course, Nero had a very, very prolific career, and was the partner of Vanessa Redgrave, child together. So Nero was Corbucci's discovery. Django was a super western, excellent western, which was never shown in England because the film censor banned it. and which only had a very limited theatrical release in the United States, if it played theatrically at all. There was one 35mm print, but I'm not sure how many times it played in the cinema. And it mostly had a life only on VHS and then later on Blu-ray and DVD. If you get the chance to see it, do, because it's an extraordinary film. Ironically, the westerns that Corbucci made, which did get a wide distribution, were films like Navajo Joe and Ringo and His Golden Pistol, films that weren't so good. Certainly weren't as good as Django or the film that we're about to see. And Corbucci became increasingly disillusioned because as his friend Sergio Leone became like a monumental figure in the international film scene, Corbucci was really making films for the domestic market, for Italy, for France, for Germany. And the film we're about to see is a film he made in 1967. It's thought of as a film from 68, but it actually was finished and released at Christmas 1967. And as you probably know, if a film opens at Christmas, it's not a good sign. It means the distributor doesn't really think the film's going to do that well. The Great Silence was a popular film in France and Germany, probably because of the two principal actors. Jean-Louis Trintignant, the French actor, who called it his favorite role, and Klaus Kinski, the main bad guy, an actor from Germany or from the Polish-German disputed area of the Second World War. I won't tell you what happens in the film, but the film's quite famous for what occurs in it, and if you haven't seen it, obviously I'm not going to spoil it for you. But it's quite an unusual film and different from most Westerns. The idea of a mute hero had occurred to Corbucci some years previously when he was talking to the Italian actor Marcello Mastroianni about making a Western. And Mastroianni said, "Oh, I can't be in a Western, I don't speak English." Well, of course, it didn't really matter. In the Italian Western, they spoke German, they spoke English, they spoke French, they spoke Italian, or they just said 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, and dubbed it later. But Mastroianni said, if I was going to be in a Western, I would have to play a mute. And the idea stuck with Corbucci. And so when the time came for him to make this Western with Trintignant, he proposed to Trintignant, this very good, very handsome French actor who could play both bad guys and good guys, and who'd made his name really in A Man and a Woman, Lelouch's film. He proposed to him that he'd play the film as a mute, not say a word throughout the entire movie. Trintignant jumped at the idea, and the result is very good, I think. See what you think. Corbucci had wanted to make Django in the snow, but the producers said, we don't have enough money for snow, so they compromised on mud. In this case, they got to go and make a film in the snow. They went to the mountains, they were staying at a ski resort, so Corbucci and his wife Nora and the cast and crew got to ski on the weekends. And they shot the cowboy town exteriors at one of those Western sets outside Rome, supposedly covering it with tons of shaving foam in order to replicate the snow. I don't know if that story is true or not, but that's what they say. What else do I have to tell you? Oh, this is interesting. So the film never really got a release outside of those three countries. It didn't play in England, it didn't play in the US. And the reason for that, oddly enough, was that it was purchased by an American studio, 20th Century Fox. Well, why would the studio buy the film and not release it? I saw this film in Paris when I was a young nipper, and I actually went to the French distributor, the branch of 20th Century Fox, which owned the rights to the film, and said, when is the film going to come out in the English language territories? And the distributor said to me, oh, well, it's going to have to wait a while because Fox bought it because Clint Eastwood is going to do a remake. Really? Clint Eastwood is going to play the Trintignant character and all that happens to him? And the guy goes, yes, absolutely. It's all going to happen quite soon. And so we can't release the film until the remake is on the screens. Well, of course, as you know, the remake was never made. Eastwood never appeared in a remake of Il Grande Silenzio. He did appear, however, in a very bad Western directed by John Sturges called Joe Kidd. Anybody seen Joe Kidd? And the two things in common, right? It takes place in the snow, and the hero has this peculiar gun. an early automatic pistol, a Mauser Bolo.
It's actually Don Stroud's, but I think.
Oh, okay. So he kills Don Stroud and takes the Mauser Bolo from him. That's interesting. Okay. So anyway, you'll see if you see Joe Kidd, you'll see it isn't anything like The Great Silence. So all that 20th Century Fox was really capable of doing was like suppressing the film for many, many years. We're fortunate now that a new 2K or 4K restoration has been done by a company called Film Movement, and this is what we're going to see today. Lastly, I would point out the bad guys. I mean, the good guys in the film are excellent. Frank Wolf, the American actor, Vanetta McGee, with whom I had the pleasure of working in a film called Repo Man. But the bad guys are exceptional, and 3 of them are graduates of For a Few Dollars More. So we go the full circle in our 4-week visit with Italians, and we end with a film in which Klaus Kinski, who you may recall was the Hunchback Loco in the Hunchback Wild in For a Few Dollars More, reappears as a character called, in the Italian version, Tigrero, but in the English version and in the English subtitles, Loco. So there's a certain disparity there. But it's an incredible performance by Kinski, and I think it's probably his best performance after Aguirre, the Wrath of God. The other 2 bad guys that I want to draw your attention to are the evil banker, Polycut, who's played by an Italian actor called Luigi Pistilli. You've probably seen Luigi Pistilli in other films, in the Italian detective films, in the political films of Francesco Rossi. For a Few Dollars More, Luigi Pistilli was Groggy, the guy who figured out that India was up to something, murdered El Nino, and ended up with India looking for the money near the end of the film, unable to find it. The last bandit to die. And El Nino, who he kills in For a Few Dollars More, was played by Mario Brega, who you may recall was Sergio Leone's butcher. And Mario Brega appears in this film as the henchman of Polycut, the banker. These are probably the most evil villains of any Italian Western. So that's going to be a lot of fun as well. So I hope you enjoy the film very much. With a few copies of that book of mine left, go on buy them, because if you don't, I've got to take them back to Oregon. I don't want to do that. And I've got a bit of swag. I've got, I think, 4 copies left of 4 Blu-rays of Tombstone Rashomon, which I'll hand out if anybody wants them. So thank you very much again for coming today. And